I'm Tyler Yaremchuk on the Nation Network YouTube, bringing you some instant reaction to the news that Dave Tippett is out as the head coach of the Edmonton Oilers. The news broke earlier this morning. Darren Dreger of TSN had it first that Edmonton was making a coaching change, and a big portion of the Oilers fan base is getting their wish. Let's look back, though, on Dave Tippett's time as head coach of the Oilers. He was in the middle of his third regular season with the club. In the regular season, Tippett's record is actually really good. He went 95, 62, and 14 behind the Oilers bench, but that really isn't the issue. The issue is how poor they were in the playoffs in each of those 2 years, losing in the qualifying round to Chicago and getting swept by the Winnipeg Jets last year in a season where, they were playing in a Canadian division that they very easily could have came out of. So a couple of disappointing playoff exits for Dave Tippett, and then this year, let's look back at what happened. They got off to a fantastic start, 16-5. A lot of people believing this group could be a contender, and I think if you would have told a lot of Oilers fans at that point, hey, Dave Tippett's not going to finish the year as head coach, a lot of them wouldn't believe you because a lot of people were thinking this team was going to breeze through the regular season. Well, then December rolled around, and since that point, since December 1, the Oilers are 25th in points percentage in the NHL with a record of 8-13-3. That is simply not good enough. And, this probably could have happened a month and a half ago. Portions of this fan base have been clamoring for change since the early parts of December, but now it's official. Tippett out the door, Playfair as well. There's a handful of reasons why I think this needed to happen. First, the team's been playing largely uninspired hockey for a few months now. I think even when they were winning games, a lot of the wins, they weren't A-plus level efforts or anything like that. It was their offense and their power play carrying them to victory. They didn't really have to work hard for anything. And then when times got tough, they didn't show an ability to want to work hard and grind through that adversity. A portion of that is on the coaching staff, in my opinion. Another thing is, at times, and not even just this year, but in the past, Dave Tippett and his coaching staff have been a little too over-reliant on some of the veteran players in the lineup, going back to how he handled the blue line this year, and even Zach Kassian getting repeated chances in the top six, even when he doesn't earn them. And a young guy like Tyler Benson not being able to get into the lineup, even though he does play well when he is in the lineup as well. So that over-reliance on veterans is a strike against Tippett for me. The team looking uninspired and constantly coming out of the gates flat, that's a strike on Tippett. The Oilers have been scored on first more than any other team in the NHL. And the other thing I was looking at is the special teams. It's one of the reasons I was one of the people defending Dave Tippett coming into this season, is because the special teams had always been good under him. In his first year with the Oilers, they were first in power play percentage, second in PK percentage. In year two, first in power play percentage, ninth in PK percentage. This year as a whole, they're third in power play percentage, 23rd in PK percentage. But since December 1st, that power play is 25th in the NHL, and their PK is 31st. The special teams had absolutely fallen off a cliff this year, and a big part of that is on coaching. Another part of it is on goaltending, which is one of the areas where Dave Tippett didn't have a lot of control. He's not the GM. He's not the guy who didn't go out and address the goaltending for yet another summer, and that's the one area where I suppose Dave Tippett maybe deserved better from Ken Holland and the Edmonton Oilers, but this team needs a spark. We saw in Vancouver what a coaching change could do. It's happened around the league before. This team needed something to get them going, because night after night, even after the losing streaks ended, they just continued to look uninspired, and they weren't working hard enough. And I think sometimes a coaching change and bringing in just a fresh voice can really jolt the room. And I'm, for Oilers fans, hoping that can happen here. Coming up to take over behind the bench, and this is something that makes a lot of fans happy, are the boys from Bakersfield. Jay Woodcroft and Dave Manson are coming up to the Oilers bench. Woodcroft in his seasons as the head coach of the Bakersfield Condors, going 105, 72, and 21. He started his coaching career back in 2005 as a video coach with the Detroit Red Wings. From that point, in 2008, he joined Todd McClellan's staff in San Jose as an assistant, and then he came with McClellan to Edmonton back in 2015 when McClellan was let go. Woodcroft went down to Bakersfield at that point and has had a handful of really, really good years. He gets rave reviews from everyone you talk to down in Bakersfield. As for Manson, he ran the defense in Bakersfield, and it's a group that is, they've spit out a handful of really good NHL prospects over the last couple of seasons as well. Before joining the Condors, he coached with the PA Raiders in the WHL for 15 years as an assistant/associate coach. And another interesting one here is the fact that Glenn Gulletson is staying on as an Edmonton Oilers assistant as well. He survived a couple of coaching changes now in Edmonton. It's the 4th head coach for Connor McDavid in just his 7th season in the league. And how about this? The 12th head coach for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins so far in just his 11th season in the NHL. Another coaching change in Edmonton, and it comes at a point in the season where they desperately need a spark. I personally love the decision to bring up Woodcroft and Manson. I talked about, you need to get young players more involved in the lineup. Veterans need to have that feeling that if they don't play well, they'll come out of the lineup. There needs to be a better sense of accountability, in my opinion, between what you do on the ice and the minutes you get. That really wasn't happening lately under Dave Tippett. I think bringing up a guy like Woodcroft and with Manson next to him, 2 guys who worked really closely with the young players in Bakersfield, I think they'll be more open to giving those young players, guys like Tyler Benson, potentially even a guy like Stuart Skinner, giving them a longer leash, giving them more opportunities in the lineup. And I think that'll help the Oilers. The other side of this is, it's not like Jay Woodcroft is a complete stranger either. He was around at the beginning of Connor McDavid's career here in Edmonton as that assistant coach on Todd McClellan's staff. So I really like the move here from the Oilers. Did it happen a month and a half too late? Yeah, it probably did. But I mean, they still pretty much have the entire second half of the season to right the ship here and get themselves back into a playoff spot. The way the standings sit right now, the Oilers have 49 points on the year. They are 5th in the Pacific Division. They're 5 points back of the Calgary Flames. Flames do have a game in hand on Edmonton, though. They are 6 points back of the Anaheim Ducks, but they have 4 games in hand on the Ducks. They're also 6 points back of the LA Kings. They have 3 games in hand on the LA Kings, so they got their work cut out for them. They need to start racking up some wins, and the Jay Woodcroft era in Edmonton will officially begin on Friday. I'm Tyler Yaremchuk on the Nation Network YouTube. I'll talk to you on another Sherwood Ford Giant pregame show tomorrow.